Anyone want to guess? Anything? What? Does any of you know the answer to the question? Legally, what would happen if you came back here? Does any of you know? Anything? Even right? I'm talking now. You need to stop. I'm talking now. Does any of you? You're done.
You can't undeport a terrorist. They want us to fly a terrorist back to Maryland? What? So a judge could fill out some paperwork and send him right back to El Salvador? Or do they want to fly the terrorist back here and just have him hang around in Maryland? The president of El Salvador couldn't believe how the media was asking about returning a terrorist instead of how Trump secured the border.
Why are those numbers not on the media? Well, they get out with the fake news, like CNN over here doesn't want to put them out because they don't like putting out good numbers. They don't really like putting out because I think they hate our country, actually.
When CNN went back on the air, here's what they said.
I just want to say, for the record, since we heard President Trump say in the Oval Office that CNN hates our country, CNN does not hate our country. That should go without saying.
Maybe it doesn't go without saying. Maybe a lot of people on that work don't hate America, but they definitely don't love it.
Everything they're doing runs against making America great.
Well,
it was never great, so I'm not going to say the again part, but making America great.
Here's a breaking news. We live in a racist, sexist, homophobic, Islamophobic, anti-Semitic country.
When we got our freedom, our quote-unquote freedom, we were never restored whole. This is why you hear about reparations. So until the United States atones for that and makes good on that, we're still living in a racist country.
If America's so bad, why are millions of foreigners breaking into it? Trump's deporting so many foreign criminals that AOC's running out of friends.
We must acknowledge the terrifying moment that we are in right now. And that what we are hearing and seeing with our own eyes is, in fact, happening. We are watching our neighbors, students, and friends being fired, targeted, and disappeared. It is real.
AOC's been hanging out with the wrong people. These are her friends. 7 gangbangers from Tren de Agua got picked up this weekend. Not the kind of people you want to live next to. Sushi John was also iced. Who's Sushi John? He's the Chinese spy who was running a noodle shop in New Jersey. Trump wants every bad hombre out.
How many illegal criminals are you planning on exporting to El Salvador?
As many as possible.
Homan's going back to college. Florida universities are partnering with ICE to scoop out illegals. Chicago and Philadelphia are canceling Cinco de Mayo parades because they think Tom Homan's going to show up and arrest everybody. But why? Trump loves Cinco de Mayo. The taco bowls from Trump's tower are muy bueno. The president of El Salvador says, keep sending us here.
I don't say that this is nonsense. I have to say that we have to liberate the millions.
This isn't about the people who get sent back. It's about keeping the millions here safe. This is Donald Trump's octagon. And thanks to a 9-0 decision from the U.S. Supreme Court, an MS-13 gang member, citizen not of the United States, but El Salvador, will not be coming back to this country. You know what? You break our laws, you don't respect our borders and sovereignty, that means you go home. To the utter dismay of fake news, CNN.
You're going to ask President Bukele to help return the man who your administration says was mistakenly deported. The man was mistakenly deported to El Salvador.
Well, let me ask Sam, would you answer that question?
Sure, President. First and foremost, he was illegally in our country. He had been illegally in our country. And in 2019, an immigration court and an appellate immigration court ruled that he was a member of MS-13 and he was illegally in our country.
Would you answer that question also?
Yes, gladly. So, as Pam mentioned, there's an illegal alien from El Salvador. So, with respect to you, he's a citizen of El Salvador. So, it's very arrogant even for American media to suggest that we would even tell El Salvador how to handle their own citizens as a starting point. As 2 immigration courts found that he was a member of MS-13. When President Trump declared MS-13 to be a foreign terrorist organization, that meant that he was no longer eligible under federal law, which I'm sure you know, you're very familiar with the INA, that he was no longer eligible for any form of immigration relief in the United States. So he had a deportation order that was valid.
Can President Bukele weigh in on this? Do you plan to return him?
Well, those are the suggested that are smuggled terrorists into the United States, right? It's always how can I return him to the United States? Like if I smuggled him into the United States, or whether it be worse, you know, to do it. It's like, I mean, the question is preposterous.
Law and order, safety, security, respect our laws, border sovereignty, come in, but come in legally. Now, tonight we can report that 11 more violent illegal immigrants, including 7 Tren de Aragua gang members, were deported to El Salvador and their notorious prison system over the weekend. President Trump has a duty to protect all of you and our way of life. What happened under Biden at the border is unforgivable. We will pay the price for his open border policies for decades likely to come. And by the way, today, the illegal immigrant who killed a Maryland mother of 5, we've spoken of her often, Rachel Morin, thankfully convicted of murder, but we should never forget the pain, the suffering caused by what was the most preventable national security crisis that Joe and Kamala created at our border. Now, thankfully, as promised, President Trump has secured our borders, is now deporting as many criminal illegals as possible. By the way, if you didn't come here legally, you are a criminal. And all it took was leadership. We're seeing the same thing now when it comes to trade. There are now more than 100 countries that are begging to negotiate with the Trump White House. 15 hard deals are on the table, but if you're watching the state-run legacy media mob this morning, you might have seen Janet Yellen once famously promised that person.
Man, fuck that whore. That bitch need to shut the fuck up and go with
to Donald Trump's economic vision as a pipe dream. Take a look.
dumbass.
I don't understand the rationale.
Hey, shut your dumb ass up. Shut your dumb ass up. You shouldn't be telling nobody shit. Nobody should even have you on TV. Your dumb ass talking about gonna be fucking transitory. Fuck you, you dumb bitch, you. Dumb ass.
And we could even raise questions about whether or not
Shut your dumb ass up.
basically that's a desirable goal.
Shut your dumb ass
The
up.
rationale. How about stop ripping off America? Stop abusing America, especially our allied countries, most of whom depend on the U.S. for their national security. Other big news today. Tech giant NVIDIA announced a $500 billion investment right here in the USA, entirely manufacturing their supercomputers, AI infrastructure inside this country for the very first time. But according to ABC's John Carl, another elitist in the media, this type of investment is not actually a good thing. Apparently he's worried that we will become, quote, a nation of cobblers. Take a look.
The president also said there's going to be a transition cost, transition problems. I mean, we are going to see higher prices in America as well. It's like you could open a factory tomorrow to build iPhones or to make sneakers, shoes. I mean, we buy a lot of shoes in this country. 99% of them are made elsewhere. I mean, are we going to become a nation of cobblers again? I mean, what? And this is going to mean higher prices, isn't it?
I mean, you've seen, I don't necessarily think so. I think the idea is that we can manufacture here in America.
All right, as a former blue-collar worker for decades of my life, I kind of take it as a compliment, but this isn't just about good American jobs. It's also a matter of national security. You know, relying on China for pharmaceuticals or other countries for semiconductor chips, that's a dangerous game. And right on cue, China just suspended exports of rare earth minerals to the U.S. in a blatant attempt to kneecap weapons and tech manufacturing. So Donald Trump is absolutely right. This reliance on China and other countries will come to an end once and for all. They can have free and fair trade if they choose, or reciprocal tariffs. That's their choice. The president will almost never get any positive coverage from the legacy media mob. The good news is almost no one in the U.S. trusts or respects these people anyway. So what's the point? It doesn't really matter what they say or what they write anyplace, anywhere. Anyway, these far-left Democrats pretending to be newsmen are screaming into the void. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.
Delicious. How's your food?
By the way, I love it. It takes me back to our trip to Greece. Nuance Audio is the new invisible hearing solution built into your glasses.
Life happens, and when it does, Verizon Mobile Protect is here to make sure your phone is covered. If it's lost, stolen, or damaged, we'll replace it in as little as a few hours. Open enrollment for all device protection options ends May 26. Don't miss out. Learn more and enroll at Verizon.com/mobile protection.
This is Power Hour with Gabriella Power.
Hello and welcome to Power Hour. I'm Gabriella Power. Thank you for your company. Well, if there's ever any doubt about the energy that Donald Trump can bring to a room, just look at the reception the 47th president received over the weekend at the UFC in Miami.
Some Ivy League colleges, and we know that the anti-Semitism or agents and
That same feeling
institutions in our country has to be addressed. And as soon as Barnard operated,
but the leftist media they want to show you that they continue to push this anti-Trump and anti-England narrative. But the president is not backing away from his against the mainstream media that he likes to call fake news. This is how he introduced his friend Donald Trump and reported on April 1.
Members of the Supreme Court, Republicans on this committee are sending out a message to anyone who dares to stand up to Donald Trump. If you step out of line, they will target your necks. Our Constitution did not create a moral executive or judicial system. Today we're marching towards the vote.
President Trump's agenda is as private.
You right. You step out of line, you will be fucking next. It's just that before, you assholes, y'all did whatever the fuck y'all wanted and said fuck the fucking people. Now y'all want to go against what the fuck we want. The people want you guys now fired. Anybody that's going against Donald Trump's agenda, we want them fired.
Return to the United States. Question on the deportation of an El Salvadoran national, Tomas Obrador Garcia. And they can do
This is the guy about 77 million votes for some district judge violating the Constitution and breaking the law to trample the people.
You assholes trample the law when you allow 22 million motherfuckers to come in here illegally, and you guys didn't put them in fucking jail or deport their fucking asses. You gave them our tax money, and now we're $36 trillion in debt because of you assholes. That's why you should be fired, all of you Democrats. And some of you Democrats.
Right now, it was paperwork, additional paperwork that needed to be done.
Of you Republicans, because some of you Republicans ain't nothing but hiding Democrats.
The Supreme Court president that if El Salvador wants to return
Hidden Democrats, really a rhino.
if they wanted to return him, we would
But first, we tried these nationwide injunctions, and the message the Republicans is beginning to resonate in the general public that the courts are being used as a tool of the left at this point.
And if you dive into the numbers, it is usually Obama, Clinton, Biden-appointed judges that are enjoining the president. So the math is pretty simple. To become a federal judge, you need 50 senators plus the vice president. To become the president, you need 270 electoral votes. So they're really not equal to one another, Jackie. And if you think about our legal system, the higher up you go, the more people you have to get to agree with you. If you're on the Supreme Court, you've got to convince 4 other people to agree with you. If you're on the Court of Appeals, you've got to get one other person to agree with you. As a district court judge, and I used to work for one, I got a lot of their friends, but you can do it by yourself. So I don't think that's what was intended, and I think the public doesn't like it. So you're going to see reforms, not impeachments, but reforms.
Now listen to what Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal said today. I want to get your reaction.
If you try to eliminate birthright citizenship, jail people for free speech, slash funding and fire people, and eliminate departments that are actually established by Congress, if you try to use Cold War era regulations to do mass deportations, then yeah, you're going to get nationwide injunctions. So maybe if you don't like the injunctions, stop doing the illegal stuff.
Isn't the court supposed to determine whether something's illegal? I mean, did her last line hurt the Democrats there in their argument?
Yeah, well, I mean, so who says we have birthright citizenship? That was the Supreme Court decision, and just like the Supreme Court has changed its mind on other issues, the only way to figure out whether or not that's still good law is to do an executive order or pass a statute and have it go up. I just find it really rich that Jayapal, who may be the most progressive member of the House, and that's saying something, she didn't have a problem when Barack Obama said, I'll do it with or without you. She didn't have a problem when Joe Biden said, what I'm about to do is probably unconstitutional with student loans, but I'm going to do it anyway. I think the American people would appreciate a little bit of consistency, a little less hypocrisy. This really should be a branch battle, not a political battle, but a branch battle between the executive, the legislative, and the judicial branches. If the president has overreached, the Supreme Court will tell him so. The question is whether one district court judge sitting in one courthouse can overrule someone who got 270 electoral votes. That's the issue. If you want to move it to the appellate court, if you want to create original jurisdiction in the Supreme Court, I don't think people would have a problem with that. But you have a single district court judge who may have barely made it through confirmation overruling a president, and I think that does trouble people.
Speaking of Obama, Congresswoman Jayapal might be surprised to hear what his appointee to the Supreme Court said on this issue. Take a listen.
This can't be right that one district judge can stop a nationwide policy in its tracks and leave it stopped for the years that it takes to go through a normal process.
Your final thought there.
Yeah, she said that while Joe Biden was president. I hope she still believes that with Donald Trump, because the judiciary would have a lot more respect if they didn't kind of ebb and flow depending on who was in the White House. I noticed the day that was Joe Biden when Republicans were trying to enjoin him. Lady Justice wears a blindfold. She doesn't care who's in office. She doesn't care about politics. Shouldn't, at least.
Lady Justice wears a blindfold. We'll hope that continues. Thank you very much, Trey Gowdy, for joining us. Really appreciate it.
We should carefully study whether Congress should push back against judicial overreach using its constitutional power to structure and fund the courts. Our Constitution did not create a plural executive or judicial tyranny. Today, we're far too close to both.
A major House hearing on Capitol Hill today taking aim at judges blocking the Trump agenda. It's an issue getting a lot of attention on the Senate side as well, with the introduction of the Judicial Relief Clarification Act. This bill aims to clarify the scope of judicial power and resolve illegitimate judicial infringement upon the executive branch. It's something lawmakers say is needed to provide long-term constitutional clarity and curb district courts' growing tendency to overstep. My next guest is one of the lawmakers behind the act. He is Alabama Republican Senator Tommy Tuberville, who deserves, first of all, a thank you for the nice birthday wishes, Coach, and a congratulations, Auburn in the Final Four.
Yeah, that was a big game for Auburn the other day. They beat the whole state of Michigan, Michigan State, and Michigan, and so we're looking forward to a big game with Florida this coming week.
Congratulations, War Eagle. Senator, back to that honorific now. Senator, tell me about this bill. Congressman Issa has one going in the House. Now you guys are working on one, you and Senator Grassley, to put one forward in the Senate. How do you limit federal district judges to just their jurisdiction, their scope into the executive branch?
Well, first of all, Will, we thought we were done with all this weaponization with President Trump in the White House and a Republican House, Republican Senate. We turned the DOJ around. We've got common sense back and knocked out all the weaponization, the deep state and the DOJ. Now, out of the bullpen, the Democrats can't do anything here. They just pulled out of the bullpen all these woke judges that are absolutely lost their mind, trying to slow down President Trump. That's not going to happen. But as you said, Senator Grassley and I have got a bill on the floor, and hopefully we'll have some action with it. But we've got to stop this nonsense. President Trump has had more injunctions against him in the first 2 months than President Biden had in 4 years. It's absolutely nonsense. We got to quit doing this. We got to give President Trump a chance, but the Democrats are scared to death of the American people and President Trump. They're going to do everything they can do to slow him down.
Here's the numbers as you referenced them. Here's the numbers since 1963, which, by the way, Senator, that's when it started exploding. Just as an idea, these injunctions and TROs against the executive from district judges really started then. As you can see how much more it is with President Trump and other presidents. Here's the challenge, I think, Senator, and I talked to Congressman Roy about this. If the shoe's on the other foot, if you have a Democratic president who is overrunning the Constitution, you do need a judge that can stop him. So how do you set in place a process where these TROs aren't abused like we just saw, but can still be used to stop an unconstitutional president?
Well, that's a great question, and I deal with all my lawyer buddies up here every day, and I listen to them talk. Being a former football coach, that's a little over my pay grade, but at the end of the day, it's got to be a quicker reference to the Supreme Court when it comes to the President of the United States.
Yes.
We cannot sit around and let these federal judges play keep away from the American people from getting the laws done the way the President of the United States has been elected to do. So we got to get it quicker to the Supreme Court. We've got to get these woke judges on both sides. If you're Republican or Democrat, let the American people speak.
Don't let your lawyer buddies push you around, all right? There's a lot of common sense learned, like that four corners basketball analogy, and no better way to be a leader of men than a coach. Everywhere from Texas Tech to Auburn. We love having you on the show, Senator. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Will. God bless.
The Judiciary Committee is taking up a series of hearings on, quote, activist judges and their rulings against President Trump's agenda. Many Republicans arguing it's time to rein these judges in. Iowa Senator Chuck Grassley has his own proposal. He's here to talk about it. That's coming up next. But first, we're going to send it out to senior congressional correspondent Chad Pergram. He is live on Capitol Hill. So, Chad, how do Republicans plan on tackling this?
Bill, good afternoon. Well, legislation is one option. House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan wants to explore tightening the purse strings to the courts. And since Congress created these district courts, Republicans have a bill to limit the scope of their rulings.
Time and time again, rogue judges have asserted, as though they were 5 of the 9 members of the Supreme Court, their authority when the president was doing nothing more than undoing a policy of his predecessor, one which they seem to have no problem with in the previous administration.
Republicans believe the judges went too far by issuing nationwide injunctions when ruling against President Trump, but Democrats believe the GOP is trying to send a warning shot to federal judges.
Our Republican colleagues have called this hearing today for one reason, because this White House, this president, continues to lose over and over again in court.
The House plans to vote tomorrow on a bill to limit the parameters of federal rulings. Former House Speaker Newt Gingrich was among the witnesses. He argues that Congress should intervene to control lower courts.
15 district judges effectively seized control of various executive branch duties in the first 6 weeks of the current presidency through nationwide injunctions. This is potentially a judicial coup d'etat.
But some Republicans don't think legislation is enough. They want to impeach or remove judges. House Speaker Mike Johnson did not answer if the legislation was an effort to dampen impeachment talk for some judges by arch conservatives. Bill?
Yeah, it seems like we get a new ruling from a federal judge blocking some Trump policy almost every day at this point. Chad Pergram, live in D.C. for us. Chad, thank you.
Republican Senator Chuck Grassley joins us now, the chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee. Sir, thank you for coming on. We did see that you have a proposal. It's in the Wall Street Journal, a bill to stop nationwide injunctions. You write more than 2/3 of all universal injunctions issued over the past 25 years were levied against the post-Trump administration. In the past 2 months alone, you write, judges have issued at least 15 universal injunctions against the administration, surpassing the 14 President Biden faced throughout his 4-year term. So, how do you plan to carry this out?
Okay, we would limit the injunction that a judge could do to his district and to the parties before the court, as opposed to a national injunction that would apply to the other 92 districts around the United States. This would keep judges from being policymakers. It would have them making just judicial decisions for the party before them. Our legislation would also go on to another step if it's necessary to speed up the process of appeal if people disagree with it. But we need to have judges do case and controversy. Those are words from the Constitution, and not deal with policy making, and not have one of 700 district judges make a decision that applies throughout the United States. We should have bipartisan support for this.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll definitely see. Meanwhile, there's a big day happening tomorrow. Would be happening today, Caroline Levitt said, if it weren't for April Fool's Day, April 1st. So tomorrow is Liberation Day, as the administration is calling it, and Democrats are going after these tariffs. Here's some of what we're hearing.
He calls it Liberation Day. It could be Obliteration Day. To have an all-out war.
I'm probably the only person online who shares every single one of my trades completely for free.
Man, I don't hear all this shit.
War with Canada, with every country in the world who was a major trading partner, that could have catastrophic economic consequences of tariffs. Like, it could be catastrophic to defense. It's been on supply chain. Tariffs on.
And we been doing it the way y'all been want to do it for the longest. That's why we're $36 trillion in debt, because of how y'all want to do it.
This while
Now we're gonna do it the way the businessman was
here
doing.
in the U.S., Redland Cotton founder Mark Yeager tells her own Lydia who this could be a good day. Listen.
I think tariffs could help. I think we've got nothing to lose by trying them, especially in textiles. If you look at the rates that it would cost us to send our product to China, India, it's astronomical. So the reciprocal thing, I think it could help. I think it could supercharge our industry, more meals in the supply chain, more finishers, the whole thing, and make something like this.
Man, fuck all that. You need a businessman to run your business. You can't trust your business to no fucking legal line lawyer.
Well, it might surprise the people in this country that we have a political leader that was elected by a big margin.
Yes.
The electoral
Yes.
popular.
Yes.
And he's carrying out a policy made in the election
Yes.
to bring manufacturing to
Yes.
the United States.
Yes.
And increasing tariffs is part of it.
Yes.
I hope the end result of the tariffs is that by putting on reciprocal tariffs, it brings other countries to bring their tariffs down. And I think if we had less tariffs throughout the world,
Yeah.
we'd have a stronger, not only U.S. economy, but we'd have a stronger world economy.
World economy.
Senator, always appreciate where you could join us.
Like I said
Appreciate your
again,
time.
the central bank is robbing
Important
us.
issues we'll be watching.
They
Thank you.
talking that bullshit. They talking about, fuck you, some channel. I don't hear that shit. I don't subscribe to your shit. I don't subscribe to none of y'all motherfucking channels because I don't trust none of y'all. I decipher the truth when I listen to y'all and I get the truth out of it. Because me being the motherfucking truth, I can decipher the shit the best because I know what it is. Shit. It's just that we've been taught to be so fucking far past fucking stupid to the point where you could never see straight. That's till you stuck on stupid and some fucking make-believe nonsense. I'm just saying. We're not as stupid as we've been taught to be. I can't make nobody know what I know. That's already in them to know. They're just waiting on them to realize what they feel. I'm just saying. I'm just trying to help. I'm just trying to help. I'm just trying to help. Just trying to help.